Hello, this is a Leshark and Friends
and Russell
podcast. And on today's show, we're talking to our favourite Crause so far, Debbie Crause, owner and day-to-day manager of Phuket Academy of Performing Arts. Originally from South Africa, the amazing Debbie had her own cosmetic science business before heading to the sunny shores of Phuket with Legend Studios Gary Crause. Debbie talks about her love of Phuket, her hatred of MSG, how jam is a preserve and not a preservative, and, for some strange reason, Debbie has no idea who the Muppets are. I like Debbie, apart from the not knowing about the Muppets. She is super, 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 super cool. And it's nice to have Russell back, but don't tell him. Enjoy the show.
Stop waffling like an idiot.
We've got about an hour of waffling like an idiot to come.
Welcome to the podcast. Russell, do you want to ask the question now and get it out of the way?
Oh, God, no.
How is it that you don't know about the Muppets?
Well, because you just don't know about them. We never had them in South Africa, so they weren't on TV. And we brought Blaze up on The Simpsons. So who the hell are the Muppets?
I mean, I don't know who I feel worse for, whether it's you guys missing out on this, and certainly for Blaze to have missed out. I mean, this is crap parenting. This poor child has missed out.
Debbie Crause. Debbie Crause doesn't know who the Muppets are.
She could be one, but...
Oh, bless you. You are our favourite Crause.
Of all the Crouses, yes.
Of all the Crouses we know, you're our favourite.
Yes.
And the reason would be?
Well, we don't like Gary.
Okay. Well, you've got to love Blaze more.
Yeah, we do, but you're not going to say that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That'll come across wrong.
Yeah. Hi, Debbie.
Debbie Crause.
Yes, darling.
From Papa Music People.
Yes.
What do you... I'm just looking. I'm just going to not ask any of the questions that's on your
I
bit
know,
of
then
paper.
you're really going to screw with me now.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not going to screw with you because that would be totally wrong and your husband's downstairs. But that's a terrible start to the 50. Anyway.
It's a normal start.
Welcome to our podcast.
Thank you, darling.
And thanks for joining us.
Thanks for coming on. Russell, welcome back.
Thank you. It feels like it's been forever.
It has been. I haven't seen Russell. Russell was away. He's been in Bangkok.
Oh, so I've seen you before you've seen him.
Yes.
Because I've seen you last week.
That's correct, yeah.
What?
We were having an illicit affair in fully in public, of course.
Oh, okay. Debbie, we did your husband, Russell and I, as I sit here cross-legged on his chair.
On this sofa.
I know. I feel very privileged. I feel all powerful sat here. I've come across quite camp.
You look very
I
camp.
like
I just realised how camp I'm sat. My legs crossed. We interviewed your husband. Oh, I should have.
Ages ago.
It was ages ago. I can't remember which number it was. Anyway, we'll find out. And so we know the story of him coming to Phuket, which is obviously, I'm hoping, it's the same story.
The same story. Yeah.
But I want to track back a little bit more, if I may, and actually find out more about you and how you met Gary.
Oh, God.
Well, the thing is we know that you came on a holiday, and if I remember rightly, and you stayed somewhere, there was nothing around, and then you think, what business shall we do? Shall we get into this? Shall we get into that? And then all of a sudden you did recording studio. Right, bang. That's your journey to Phuket and you coming here.
Yeah.
How did you get from being a beautiful little lady in South Africa to meeting some douchebag Liverpool Kiss fan, staying with him for as long as you bloody have, to where we are now? Go.
Alrighty. Well, that's pretty simple.
He paid you money.
I wished. I wished. We both went to school in the same town, a small little town called Palabora in South Africa. Palabora is very close. Well, it's on the edge of the game park, the Kruger National Game Park. And so obviously we both went to the same school because there was only one English school.
But you're a lot younger than he is.
I love the way you say that. actually. I'm just a couple of months younger than Gary.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we were in the same class.
Jesus, he
Blimey.
aged badly, didn't he?
Yeah.
All right, getting back to the serious part. All right, so we went to school together, and mainly I think it's the hot weather there. I think must have affected our brains a bit. But anyway, so Gaz and I have been together forever. We started dating at school. It's actually quite frightening. Gary can tell me where I sat in grade 2. That's how scary it is. He can remember
Like what
things.
you were wearing
And
in
yeah, he
biology
remembers
lesson or something.
things far back, and he's got a really, really vivid memory, which is frightening. So, but we didn't start dating in grade 2, thankfully.
That would be weird.
Yeah, we started dating in standard 9.
What does that
See,
mean in
Gary
English?
knows this more than I do. We started dating in standard 9, so that's age of 16. 15.
Were
At
you,
15, yeah.
Were you a rock chick back in the day? Or were you into music, I guess?
A wee bit, not as... That's not my forte. Music is not my forte. I'm just in this industry because Gary's, but not so much Gary, but my son.
Yeah.
So I've just got him. This is his chapter. So I've got his back in this chapter. But no, my background is I was trained as a cosmetic scientist. So that's
What's
my background.
that? You used to put drops of
came
evil
out the-
stuff in rabbits'
This
eyes.
came out at the meeting the other day, and I'm sitting next to Debbie, and she just comes out, yeah, I used to be a cosmetic scientist. I'm like, hold the phone. What?
It's just an elaborate word for someone who messes around in the laboratory and makes...
Rabbits die.
Hell no. No, we do no. That's from the raw material side. That's from the raw material side. So basically you just make up products
And then drip it in rabbits' eyes.
nowhere in
Monkeys,
your
rats?
eyes. No, you don't test them on animals.
Why not? It's the best thing to test them on. Then before they come to the humans, then
No,
we know
No,
it doesn't
criminals,
hurt
do it
us.
there's a thing
criminals.
called a Dre's test.
A what
so
test?
A Dre's test.
Ooh,
So the
technical.
Dre's test has all got to do with mechanical testing, and that's what stuff's really tested on. Many, many years ago, they used to do animal testing, but that phased out. Gracious. Don't want to give away the age or anything, but over 20 years ago, they started phasing that out. So people that are still skeptical about it now, it doesn't exist.
Okay, listen, animal rights activists, it doesn't exist. Animals are fine. Get over it. Done. Finished that.
Done.
It's got hot in here now. Have you turned the aircon off?
No, I just turned it
Okay.
that fluffy up.
So what does it... Give me more about this cosmetic science stuff.
Almost, how did you get into it?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, well, I basically started off my career being a salesperson in the raw material industry, and then from there, just took off from there. So we would represent companies from overseas back in South Africa, their raw materials. So based on that, you would have to go to overseas and do training on their product and how to bring that and infiltrate that into companies that were manufacturing similar products in South Africa. So we would have to, for instance, go over to Switzerland. And the great thing about that is, like, they would work in R&D, research and development. So they would research the latest active on anything, on be it breast enhancement, be it...
I like how that's where you started.
I know.
I like the way you look down as well. So check out these bad
clearly.
boys. Breast enhancement.
Clearly, I use the product for anti-aging, for psoriasis, for eczemas. So basically, you work on the actual active. So it was our job to go and find out about the active, research about that, learn about it, and then bring it back to the likes of Revlon, L'Oreal, whoever manufacturing products in South Africa, and then teach them how to use that active in their product to do a local launch.
So when you from school, it was like a first job out of school.
It was, yes, it
And
was.
Did that come about like, I've just left school, I need a job, or was it just I wanted to go down that particular industry track?
No, not at all. I was actually used to, my track was, I started off in law, and that was too boring.
Was it prison or...
On the wrong side of the law.
Don't look at me like that. I'm just checking.
No, it was attorney law.
Okay.
Yeah. And that was just too boring for me because it's very regimented.
Yeah.
So after that, then obviously I needed a job on something, and my sister-in-law worked for a company at that time who was in the similar kind of industry. So I started working from them, and then just from there, I just took it off and started studying analytical chemistry, which is really boring, and then moved into the cosmetic science side of it. Yeah.
Analytical chemistry. And you thought law was boring. Christ, woman.
And a little Coventry. No, anyway, yeah.
Did you have a
Past
lab
chapter.
coat and stuff?
I did.
Do you know in the Muppets there's a character with a lab coat? Do you
Beaker.
know who it is?
Beaker.
Clearly.
There you go. Russell does.
No,
Yeah.
I wouldn't know.
And
Still
Beaker and what's his name? The little green doctor.
Dr. Beaker.
No, Beaker was the assistant.
Oh, Green Doctor. Kermit.
No, that was the
You've
frog.
heard of Kermit the Frog, though,
Yes,
yeah?
I have.
Okay, good.
I've seen a Muppet thingy of him.
Okay. Thanks for the hand motion, just in case I didn't know what a Muppet was. During your time then with Gary in South Africa and doing cosmetic surgeries and stuff,
Science, not
whatever.
surgery. Yeah, yeah.
I'm still thinking you're just cutting boobs open, feeding them to rabbits. Have I gone a bit too far?
Yeah.
Early on a Monday morning. Why did you and Gary, because we know why Gary wanted to come here, were you on board coming to Phuket at the time with Gary as well, or was it something that you wanted to, because you were doing cosmetic science, you must have been, that's a good job, I'd imagine. It's not a,
Yeah, I had my own company there doing it.
Wow.
Yeah, there was 4 of us. There was 4 partners. So I was technical sales director, and then my other partner was more on the admin side. So there was 4 of us. My one partner actually moved over to Australia, but she still used to manage from her part of the world. So yeah, we had our own company. It was wonderful.
On that particular note, so how long did it take for you from getting a job with one company to then deciding, oh hey, you know what?
Okay, right. So basically, I worked for the one particular company for 10 years, and it was really great because they trained me, and that's where I did most of my international training. And then from that, one of the agencies that we were representing liked what I was doing and how I was doing it, and they approached me to say, well, will I start a company and represent them solely? And at that stage, it just coincided with Blaze, because he was about to come along. So I stopped working for the one company, had the little Muppets, and then...
You didn't have the Muppets.
I was just about to say, you got me stuck on the Muppet word, and I don't even know who Muppets are. And then, obviously, when I had Blaze, I started my own company, and that was during... And I dare I say the word because everybody cringes when I say preservatives, but preservatives are my favourite topic of. I love preservatives for various reasons.
Like jam.
No,
Pickled
not
onions.
preserves, not preserves. Preservative.
Oh, I know. I'm going to go with Russell. I prefer that one. What? Sorry, you've just got really excited about preservatives.
Yeah, if you study them and you understand them, and it's
Well, teach
Well,
us.
educate us.
Yeah.
well,
This wasn't on your list of questions, was it?
it wasn't. And I'm like,
You haven't prepared this one, have you?
Well, anyway, there's just basic 4 categories of preservatives: methyl, propyl, paraben, butyl, paraben. So there's the paraben family.
As in methane and butane.
Yeah, you know where I'm going. You know where I'm going, right? So there's just a preservative family, and it's just finding out what the preservatives do within the products and how it actually helps. And one of the subjects whilst I was involved in that industry was to go preservative free, because everybody was on this thing that it caused cancer, it's bad for you, X, Y, Z. But the interesting part for me was studying what the product could do to you if it was not preserved. Pseudomonas on the skin, that kind of stuff. But people didn't quite understand that because they were too afraid of the actual paraben. And there were people saying, you know, parabens in roll-ons, for instance, would cause cancer under the arms. But once you actually researched and studied that, there was no way that was possible.
Oh, I'm sorry. Where are we? I have no idea. The last 5 minutes, what was said.
So
there's probins in what?
Parabens.
Parabens in probins. What? Debbie, how did you get to Phuket?
No. Stick with the probing.
Yeah.
Probe away. Carry on.
Anyway, so like I say, it's a hell of an interesting industry if you're passionate about
Yeah, if you're not passionate, it's not
then
very
it's
interesting, is it?
not at all. Not at all.
It's not. I'm going to just quickly check on my questions I sent to you because I think we need to get back on track a little bit.
No, but was that just something that just was kind of, I hate to use the word organic, but that sort of organically developed in you? It was just something you stumbled across and thought, wow, that just floated your boat at the time.
Yeah.
I'm just going to run with this.
Absolutely.
And then...
Because, like I said, I was just in the sales industry initially, so it was whatever you could sell. But then I started specializing in actives and preservatives and excipients more than just what we would call the run-of-the-mill raw material.
Okay.
Please stop using long words.
I'm sorry.
So,
Thank you.
Muppet. So at the time, when there's this sort of global shift away from preservatives, and any time there's a mass global shift in, like today it's about climate change, we've got to get away from this and we now need to move on to this. But okay, arguably now there's been a bit more research on what the other side can do, whether you're looking at sort of wind power, electric power and all of that. However, at the time with something like preservatives, well, what happens if you take that out? Was there a depth of research into we can do without this?
There was a lot of research involved in that. They did find various different alternatives, but none as effective as the paraben family. There are various others, obviously, that they are using now, in particular with skincare. But the paraben is still the most effective. They have taken out, I won't use the big words, but they have taken out another family of preservatives.
Sulfates?
Yes.
Get in.
Hold on.
Check it
Yeah.
out.
Russell, you've been away for a week or so, okay? And I did a tarot card reading last week without you. And now you're sitting here nailing this whole preservative thing. Why do you know so much about this?
I know shit.
True, fair enough.
I don't know much about it. I know.
Is the paraben family very similar to the Sylvanian
Kardashians.
family that you could buy in the toy shop? And you used to get a doll's house and you get little characters of Sylvanian family. You not remember them? No?
No.
Am I the only one?
Yes.
Carry on with your probing.
Paraben.
And
So,
sulfates.
yeah.
Whatever. Sulfate's a salt, I'm guessing.
No.
Oh, for Christ's sake. I'll just shut up. This is the Russell and Debbie podcast. Enjoy. I'm done.
So we're paraben and sulfate free. And again, a lot of cosmetic products now are sort of pushing sort of that angle. A lot of their marketing is
Paraben free, yeah.
Yeah. So, but what does
Yeah.
that mean for from a consumer perspective? What does that actually mean in real terms? Like, what's the difference if I go and buy a shampoo that's got paraben in it versus one that doesn't? If they're the same product, what's the difference?
Well, the one will have a longer shelf life,
Right.
obviously. If, for instance, you have got a skin cream that you do not have a preservative in it, be it paraben, be it whatever preservative, and you're obviously, as soon as you work with water, you're going to get some bacterial growth, and if you work with oils, you're going to get some fungal growth. That's just the nature of the game. So if you have got a skin lesion, for instance, and you form, the first thing that will form in that emulsion is called Pseudomonas.
Okay.
So as soon as that Pseudomonas is formed and you do have a skin lesion, you slap it on your skin and you're doing your whole moisturizing thing, that will straight away form skin irritations. And depending on how your skin can handle the Pseudomonas, it's going to be your outcome. So for me, it was more imperative to have the preservative than not. In particular, there was one, we used to use a form of preservatives in talcum powder. And everyone was like, oh, no, you can't do that, you can't do that. But if anybody has ever taken the time and just had a look at talcum powder under a microscope, and you see all the little bits of the mites crawling in there, you will never put talcum powder on your body again, unless it's preserved or irradiated.
Okay.
Very interesting.
Yeah. I mean, I honestly can't say I've ever looked at talcum powder under a microscope.
Do you have a microscope?
No, I don't. I mean, I used to as a kid. But
I'd like to point out, I have a microscope.
Do that with talcum
no,
powder.
you've got a telescope that you've turned around.
That's what it is. I was thinking the moon seems really close. That's amazing. I can see cheese and everything. So you're talking about skin infection. I had a skin infection once. Yeah, I had sex with this girl, and then I was itching for ages. I don't know what it was. And then I found a load of mites crawling around as well.
Must have been the talcum powder.
Must have been
sweetheart.
talcum powder.
Mm-hmm.
So it just kind of going back to your point, not his point. If you've got you're saying if you've got a lesion or something, and you're using a cream that's not got preservatives in it, you're more likely to have issues.
Correct.
So what does the paraben do?
Well, the paraben stops any form of bacterial growth or anything growing in that product itself.
Right, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Can I
Simple as
just
that.
point? I know I'm being facetious a little bit here, but it does sound very similar to when I'm pickling or when I'm doing biltong. Let's get on to the South African.
Right.
Oh, yum.
So we're making biltong, so we're using the salt to draw out the moisture, which then obviously that kills any, because if there's no moisture,
Correct.
there's no bacteria. So is that what we're I'm just trying to put it into things
Easy
I
terms.
understand. Is that where, into simple terms, into Muppet terms, you won't understand now. But is that the kind of thing we're talking about? So you're putting something within the talcum powder that kills off all those little mites that are biting us and eating us?
Correct.
Wow, okay.
Mm.
That's pretty interesting then. Did you enjoy doing that kind of stuff?
Loved it.
Yeah, you seem really passionate about it.
I loved it. It
And
was
I'm
really,
surprised
really
you
great.
know, but I'm impressed that you know so much as well. I've been impressed today.
What
It's
can I
Monday
say?
morning.
What can I say?
It was great from the point of view that we were at least 4 years ahead of any product coming out, because obviously once it's been researched and the scientists put it together, it takes about 4 years of all R&D testing and FDA testing before you can
So
actually...
you was into music from a very... You liked R&B as music then? Was that what your
D.
Oh,
R&D,
sorry.
Yes, research and development.
Okay.
So at least we were 4 years ahead of whatever was going to hit the shelf, so that's quite nice as well. But yeah, it was a very interesting...
When you go and buy
career
makeup and
path.
stuff now, because you don't need makeup to be fair, because you are
Gorgeous.
more beautiful than the other two. Are you reading the back of the labels? Are you know? Yeah, you are. I bet everything.
Everything. Even when I buy any... that's why I'm not a sauce person, because I know how many raw materials go into any sauce.
Right.
So I'm always studying the back of the ingredient listing.
So even on food as well, you're looking at the food stuff. So when you say sauce, you don't have ketchup, tomato sauce,
No.
brown sauce,
No.
mayonnaise.
Gary eats it. No, I don't. I don't need any
Sorry,
of
I
those.
just made a joke to myself about Gary eating mayonnaise. We'll leave that one.
No.
So what do you have then?
Salt.
So just salt and pepper?
Yeah,
You're allowed
if I
pepper?
have to. If I have to. But I'm just a salt girl.
So when you go out, what about MSG?
Ugh.
Ooh.
Oh.
So
Bad.
it's tricky to eat out then.
Bad. Here, very.
Yeah,
very,
yeah, here,
very.
yes.
Here,
Yeah, fair one.
MSG is used in just about everything, but MSG is a big no-no.
Yeah.
And so what do you eat?
Everything.
Without that.
But do you cook at home? Do you go out? What's your... Because your husband is a vegetarian,
Correct.
but you're not.
No.
You're a carnivore.
Yes.
High five. Woo woo. So what do you cook at home? Do you...
No, I'm not known for my cooking skills.
Right.
Not at all.
I have other talents.
Cooking ain't one of them. No, I live on chicken and vegetables and fruit.
Out of interest, how does the dynamic... Has Gary always been vegetarian? I can't remember.
Oof, for many years now, yeah.
Okay. And what brought that on?
He saw Debbie put in some drops in a rabbit's eyes when she was in the the laboratory and went, "Oh, you can't do that to that poor little rabbit, Debbie. Stop it." And Debbie went, "I don't care. Fuck animals," is what she said, really loudly. And then while she was doing that, she then squashed a brain of a monkey.
God.
I went too far then with the monkey bit, didn't
Possibly, yeah.
Yeah.
It was very Temple of Doom.
I? Your notes have fallen down. Oh, it was Temple of Doom, actually. Yeah, that's the
was
first
monkey
time.
brain,
Yeah, it
wasn't
was
it?
a monkey
Yeah.
brain. Was that the one when they
I'm not
slit
entirely
the
sure why I had to do the spoon.
No. I like the spooning. I like a bit of spooning. Was that when they cut open the snake and had the snake babies as well?
Yeah, that was
the
the
same
one, yeah.
You've not seen Temple of Doom either?
Well, by the sounds of it, no.
You've never seen Indiana Jones?
No. Oh,
No Indiana Jones, no Muppets. Jesus Christ.
What did you watch as a
What?
child?
Yes. I'll send you some links. The Muppets back in the day was fucking phenomenal. So Gary's been a veggie for a number of years. And yes, what brought that on?
Well, Gary being Buddhist.
Should I do my joke again about the rabbit
No.
and Debbie? No,
No.
okay. And the monkey's
No.
brains?
No.
We can talk about Indiana in a minute.
Okay.
So basically, Gary turned vegetarian many years ago because he's, they believe in not killing animals.
Yeah.
Or hurting animals.
Sure.
So hence he turned vegetarian. And
Okay.
then, as you know, he's Buddhist as well. So, yeah.
Okay. So, and for you, you were just like, yep, you crack on, but it's not for me.
Yeah, we've got different belief systems. He followed the initial teachings of Buddhism to connect with God. I followed the teachings of Jesus to connect with God. So we've got our own paths to...
Okay.
In
Some sort of enlightenment, but
yes,
it's your own path.
Exactly,
Okay.
yeah.
But just
And
without
so-
going down the religious track.
No, so
Okay,
my
that's all.
Jesus drank wine and
Yeah.
he ate everything. So that's my way to go. I eat everything and I drink loads of wine.
Right, okay.
Gary
fair.
doesn't drink and he doesn't eat any meat. So
Okay,
yeah.
so at least you're not going to be arguing over the food table because you've got your own. You're not going to be sharing. I
Absolutely,
like that.
yes.
Okay, that's kind of cool. So, but just from again taking the religious side out from an ethics point of view, because
Right.
I'm not a vegetarian.
Okay.
I'm a lot more vegetarian now than I've ever been,
Right.
and that is on the. I'm doing it because there is a lot of moral, ethical issues with
Gotcha.
the food industry and mass agriculture at the minute.
Mm.
We're all aware of that, and there is also this. I think we've spoken about this before. There is a massive disconnect between the bit of meat you see in the fridge in the shop versus where it came from.
Correct.
So, and it's that disconnect that allows us to continue to consume.
Mm-hmm.
So, but if knowing the arguments, have you not thought, maybe I could reduce my meat consumption, or
Very
if
much
not go
so.
to
Very
full
much so,
veggie.
love. I don't eat, when I say I eat meat, I don't eat pork because I've driven past too many of the trucks with the piggies on them, so I won't eat pork. I don't eat beef. So mainly, and I won't eat fish because I went down to the Rwai market where all the little fishies were laying there and thinking, oh, please just put them back in the ocean. So the only thing I really eat is chicken. So I try and stay away from looking at little chickens' faces or being near chickens because that's my only form of
So it's interesting, because I'm pretty much the same now.
Okay.
So, and then of course the big issue there is, excuse me, one of the products that's mostly affected by growth hormones and antibiotics and all of that happens to be chickens.
As I was saying, I can't steer away from the sadness of chicken eating.
Anyway, so we have digressed.
Well, no, I'm loving it. I'm carrying on. I'm still. I want to just. So the Buddhism and the Christian thing is a. I mean, I know we pushed him. We don't really touch on religion very much, do we?
I try not to.
No,
it's a dangerous. It is
a dangerous path. But for you two, it's part of your. It's the teachings and it's the understanding that you like, isn't it?
Absolutely, it's
more
none of the
so
doctrine.
going to church and doing your sister act kind of dancing and stuff.
No,
do you have a habit?
Not watching the Muppets is one of them. Killing baby rabbits is another one. I should say that Debbie has never killed. You never have.
No, I have never.
Debbie has never killed a baby. Any baby animals whatsoever. Just checking.
Never squashed a monkey brain. Okay, good to know. So just going back, so you had your own company.
Yeah.
Everything roaring success, brilliant, loving it, amazing. And what's Gary doing at this point?
Legend Music.
In South Africa?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah, that's where it started, right? Yeah. Okay, and then at what point did we suddenly make the decision that we're going to move from South Africa?
Before you ask that question...
Before I ask that question...
which you've already asked, which is really silly.
Just take it back.
Yeah, well, just take it back a little bit. Where did the name Blaze come from? Because you'd had Blaze before you guys decided to move to Phuket.
Thailand. Yeah.
So where did the name Blaze come from?
Was the house burning down as you were giving birth, or
No.
Was it the night of passion you had with Gary?
I think that's
Was it a blaze of glory? 'Cause it happened so quick. Is that it?
There you go. There
Knocked
you
me
go.
up already.
No, we were busting about two different names because Blue would have been a girl and then Blaze would have been the boy. But I think it's more from Gary's side of the family. Somewhere far down his side of the family, I think there was a Blaze.
Okay.
I think. But yeah, I actually don't know.
as in a name, not a fire in a household?
No,
Yeah,
as
okay.
in the name, yeah.
Okay.
So go back to Russell's question now, which he probably can't remember.
Yeah, so we've got the studio's going really well. You're doing amazing. We're both really enjoying what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And then what was the trigger point to say,
We're done.
we're done? That's
Okay, very easy trigger point. We were both at the peaks.
And sorry, and what sort of
yes.
year was that?
Well, we started thinking about it 5 years prior to moving.
Yeah, I remember Gary
2010.
saying it took a long time
Yeah,
to...
so it's about 2015
Right,
we started thinking about it. Obviously, coming on a holiday here, we...
Hold on, 2015?
No,
It can't
sorry.
be. That's 5 years ago.
2005, yeah,
Yeah.
2005.
05.
Yeah.
You missed 10 years, didn't you?
I did. Mm.
That's preservatives.
There you go.
That's what it does to you.
I see this. We decided that we were done with corporate life.
Okay.
And I don't want to say... We were just done with the lifestyle we had. So
Okay.
we were done with the cars, the big houses, the corporates, the stockings and high heels every day, and business jobs.
Whoa, sorry. I got an image I need to process.
And what were you wearing at the time? That's what you're doing, yeah? Just checking.
And then obviously we'd had Blaze, so it was time to focus on him and his life as opposed to ours. So we made that conscious decision to give up the worldly possessions and become a family. Because prior to that, Gary was traveling wherever he was with his company, I was traveling with mine. We would sometimes pass each other at the airports.
Yeah.
So we really never had a family, but that was okay because we started off our own sectors. Selfish is probably the wrong word, but we wanted to improve ourselves to get to the top where we could in our industry. So we'd reach that, and so...
That's an interesting point to say it's really selfish because you're being like, I've got my career, I'm going on my path. And Gary's saying, I've got my career, I'm going on my path. And from the outside looking in, you can say, that's incredibly selfish because you're not giving to each other. But I would argue the counter to that is that you're being phenomenally supportive to each other by allowing yourselves the freedom to go and do those things.
Right.
but at your core, you're still together. So when we're together, we have our time together, and that's great. But outside of that, right, I've got to go do my thing. I go do my thing.
That's it.
And I kind of doff my cap to that. I think that's a stronger way to do it.
I agree. I'm with you. I'm Team Russell today.
Okay.
That's why Jay and I got on so well.
All right.
No, I'm not sure. I think that
I might have stepped over the mark. Okay.
Yeah.
So anyway, back to.
So it was at that stage we decided that we needed to downscale and raise our son, and obviously there was nothing in South Africa for Blaze, because at that stage, even prior to that, when Gary was one of the managers at IBM, they'd already started retrenching white males. So we knew there was no future for Blaze in South Africa. So it was okay, so where do we go? I wanted to go to Greece. That was my vision. But Gary said,
well, put it there.
Yeah, I know, right? But Gary said, let's try Thailand.
Was that because you saw the movie and you went, oh, everyone's singing and stuff, it's great, and everyone drives nice cars?
No.
Okay.
No, I had a friend that lived there prior. But then Gary said, well, let's try Thailand. And Thailand ticked most of the boxes for us. It didn't tick them all, but it ticked most. In particular, obviously, we could bring our animals here because we were passionate about our kids, so we needed a place where we could take our children to. And also, both of us being spiritual, this just felt like a spiritual place every time we traveled here. And hence, this is home.
Sweet. And sorry, I can't remember this, but had you travelled here prior?
We came here on holiday 7 years prior to moving here.
With a view to coming here?
No.
So that's just a random.
That was just a random.
Okay.
Like I said, I wanted to go somewhere else on holiday, but then the first year we were supposed to come here, my curtains actually won, because we just moved into a new house. So Gary said, should we go to Thailand on holiday or
buy curtains? I remember this story.
Yes.
He said that. Yeah.
So we bought the curtains, and thank heavens, because that was a tsunami year that it hit. So we were saved by our curtains, and then we started coming on holiday. After that, every year.
It's interesting because a lot of people come to Phuket and they go through the bamboo curtain and they never come back.
Nice little twist.
Thank you very much.
In all your, so from both your individual careers, you both did a fair amount of travelling.
Yes.
Right. So just through the African continent or globally?
Globally.
So were there any other places that you've travelled to that you kind of thought that might be a nice little place to go back to and set up, or was it always a case of it's probably Thailand or maybe Greece?
No, strangely enough, it was always Thailand, because one of the most beautiful places for me that I wouldn't mind settling was Barcelona. I really enjoyed Barcelona. But it was, once again, in a city doing what I was doing. So I needed to totally detach and lock that door, because many people move forward, but they leave that door open just in case. Yeah. And we made sure we locked it. We blew it up.
Right. We burnt the fucking bridge.
Yes. Totally done.
Okay.
Yeah.
So opening the business, obviously, so Gary
walked out the door. Fuck you all.
And you followed him, not followed him, but you came together, and then he obviously set up this business. And we're sat in his studio right now, which is always a beautiful place to come to. What did you like about Phuket? Because obviously he was focused on business and was setting up this studio, but you both must have had some love for Phuket apart from it being a nice place. Is there certain things you love about Phuket when you first came?
Everything. I know it's cliche that people say the food and the people and but you know the weirdest thing for me, even today, I will drive down the road and I look up and it's the weirdness of all the wires hanging everywhere. It's the craziness of the traffic. It's the smells you get if you ride with your window down. It's when you go for early morning walks and there's a type person that walks past you and that smile, that connection. It's just everything resonates with my soul here. Everything.
That's a nice thing to hear, because it's true. It's the quirky stuff that I like about it. And the wires, the craziness of the driving just coming down the wrong way, and they look at you as though it's your fault. You're going, and I'm like, that's brilliant. Yeah. It's actually quite funny.
And the washing hanging up over the gates and everything. I mean, they don't give a hoot if there's their underpants or their whatever. That's it.
Yeah, I've stolen a few bras.
We've all been there.
So what do you do now? Because obviously Gary's got the Legend Studio, but you are the representative of Papa.
Yeah.
What is and when did that all? Because we've kind of heard Gary's side of things more so from the Legend Studio, but when did the Papa stuff come up?
Well, the Phuket Academy of Performing Arts was actually originated when PIA, UWC, it's known as UWC now, but prior to that was known as PIA. They needed somebody to help them with regards to their music department because they didn't have one. And their port of call was Legend Music Studio because they knew Gary was involved with music. So they asked Gary, what can we do? And as you know, jack of all trade, you do whatever you have to do.
Yeah.
And we said, well, great. I was partially helping Siobhan at that stage. Because she's
Siobhan
needed,
McGovern.
Siobhan McGovern,
Yeah.
Siobhan's music studio.
That's the one, yeah.
So I was partially helping her at that stage. And then we decided, okay, we'll use Siobhan's music studio as the teachers. My forte is to set up businesses. She had the talent and the musical talent, and that's how it happened. So off we went, teaching music lessons.
And roughly when was that?
2013.
Okay. And that's still going.
Yeah,
So it's still going strong, still growing.
absolutely.
After-
And I think that the fortunate thing for us, and this is something that I don't think many people quite know about the Phuket Academy of Performing Arts, we have molded it step by step based on a child's need for music. So when Blaze first came along, and we tried other music schools in Phuket, there was only one or two at that time, it was very demoralizing for him. I mean, he's since the age of 4, his dream is to be a musician, on stage playing guitar.
Sorry,
you
how
go
did
first.
you know that?
Yeah, I was that.
It's
That was just innate in him. That was not driven by you guys.
not at all.
But how did you know that you looked at him at 4 and went, do you know what? He's going to be a musician. No, I'm saying that as a
'Cause you wanna
father
know.
of 2 of myself, and I'm looking at my 2 thinking, okay, and I've got a great story about a hamster, which I'll tell you about later.
I'm not sure I want to know.
You do. Zahara loves animals, so ever since she's been 6, she's going to be a vet. But I don't know if that's true or
Sure.
not, but how did you see Blaze at 4 and think, yeah, he wants to be a musician?
From the time, actually younger than 4, 18 months, he picked up, friends of ours brought around these little musical instruments, you know, the little guitar and the drums and the flippin' loud noise stuff. And he picked the guitar up, and all he could say was ta-ta, because that's the extent of its talking.
Maybe he wanted some
Not
fish.
to say you're not allowed sauce.
Yeah.
No, not ta-ta.
Both getting there.
So anyway, this little thing would walk around with us with a little dummy in the mouth, and he'd start strumming. And at that stage, Gary was managing bands, and whenever he could, when he was awake and allowed to go with Dad, he would hop up on the stage and play his guitar. So wherever he went, the little mister was there with his guitar, and the guitar just grew from that little one into a bigger one, into various shapes of guitars, and he would always, I know, right?
Yeah.
Whenever you saw Blaze, was with a guitar. And from when he could start speaking coherently more so.
18,
I was
19.
just going to say, hang on a minute. Yeah.
We just saw him this morning. That wasn't coherent.
Recently, he's always said his biggest dream is to be on stage in front of thousands, and that's
Sweet.
his ultimate. And I kind of admire that, because from that young age, he's always known what he wants to be. I've gone through, maybe a doctor, a vet, a accountant,
Yeah.
this,
Still doing it,
bouncing.
yeah.
I know, right? He's always said, I don't care if I have to gig on a street to get money, if I'm going to be on the stage in front of thousands, if I'm going to be a studio musician working for somebody. My life is my guitar and music. That's it.
I respect that a lot, but I also find that what if it doesn't happen? Because that's what and this comes from a personal point of view, and that's my worries. I don't really know where I'm going sometimes, or
What
what
you
I'm
wanna be
doing.
when you grow up.
And I don't know when I'm going to grow up. But if I have something and I don't achieve it, it would hurt so badly that I think that, and that's what worries me about having one focal point. But maybe then I've just been watching the Michael Jordan, and Russell and I will have arguments about this, but he was focused on one thing and he made it. But what happens if you don't make it? There must be those people that don't get to that point, and that's what scares me, is I wouldn't get to that point, and that's why I think maybe I'm scared to focus on one thing.
I saw Arnold Schwarzenegger was giving a speech to some university graduates a couple of years ago, and one of the things he came out with was, don't have a plan B. He said everyone has a plan B, and the problem with the plan B is you devote time and attention and energy to plan B in case plan A doesn't work. So, and every time you come across a little hump with plan A, you automatically
Go to your
sync to
back
plan
door.
B just to make sure you're shored up. And if you took all of that time, all of that energy, and all of that devotion from plan B, scuppered it and throw it into plan A, it will work, because you will make it work. And it's not a case of, I'm going to be a musician, I'm going to be in front of thousands, that is my goal. That's been his goal since he was 18 months. It's still his goal now. It's not that he's not going to achieve that, because he very well might, because he's just got the drive and passion to do it. The point was, along the journey that you're so focused, there are going to be shifts, and some are going to be small. He might end up just being a session player and fucking loving it and the greatest one. He might work with the next up and coming star and be one of their touring. I mean, all the stars that do their tours and go around the globe, they've got bands that travel with them. He might be that. He might be something else. He might just write the music for he could be anything.
Absolutely.
And his life will shift, and it might not be what he expected when he was 4. And it might not be that same end product, but it will be something that he loves because he's spent all that time firing in that direction. I think a lot of us, we think about, I'll do that, but if that's not going to work out, I'll go over here. And if that's not going to work out, well, I'll try that one over there. And then you just get lost with these multiple directions and you never actually achieve one of them completely.
And I think in getting back to that, I mean, when he says on the stage in front of thousands, he's done that. He's been and he opened for Sam Smith, and to him that was the most amazing feeling in the world. So it's not to say that he's going to be the best band in the whole world in front of thousands. He just needs, for him, it's the guitar on stage. Entertaining. But in saying so, I mean, he has made sure, like, for instance, he does music production. He does a bit of drums, he does a bit of vocals, he does a bit of piano. So he works in the studio a hell of a lot. So he does a lot of session work. So whatever he's, basically he'll be able to do whatever with his passion. So if it is creating jingles for a radio with his guitar, if it is creating music for games as well, it's whatever, it's all music related. So there wasn't ever a shift outside of that for him. Well, there isn't, should I say.
That's cool. And so while we're on Blaze, you homeschooled him as well. What was that? Was that you and Gary's decision?
We were kind of forced into it,
right.
Because obviously when we were in Johannesburg, both having our own companies, I mean, I didn't even have the patience to do homework with him. I used to get someone in to do that. How snobbish is that? But
to do his homework?
No, to help him with his homework.
Okay, because that's really naughty. I mean, people in America have gone to prison, stuff like that.
Piss off. Yeah, so anyway, we came to Thailand, and then he went to one of the international schools for a year, but that didn't work out, and we were forced into the homeschooling. And initially, it was, my heart sank. I mean, I couldn't even do homework with him in South Africa, let alone do homeschooling. So Gaz took over a couple of the subjects that he was really great at school, and then I took over some subjects that...
What was Gary's subjects that he was great at school, please?
English.
Really?
Jeez, that man.
Behave.
And he's English.
I've heard him speak.
I can't really comment on that. So
he used to get flipping top marks in English all the time. He used to write all my essays for him because I used to suck at those. And then I used to do his math homework for him.
Brilliant.
And so that's what we did. So homeschooling was, the first year it was really difficult, but then when we got into it and we seen it was the best thing for him ever.
Okay.
He went from brilliant marks at school in South Africa to near on failing here, back to 80-90% for all these marks after homeschooling.
Was we don't need to go into which school or anything, but in terms of the school environment, was it a case of just the school and the way they were teaching, or was it just that plus, how old was he when he came here?
10.
So a young kid, massive change, new environment, new journey, new everything.
Yeah, there were two compounding factors. The one was bullying at the school that he was at.
Was he?
He was terribly bullied.
Right. Okay.
To the extent where the one day he came home and he had strangle marks around his little throat, and they'd whipped him with a belt, so he had all cuts on him. It was really, really horrible. Anyway, so that was when we decided to take him out. But I think he was going through a whole mental thing at that stage, where he was going from the class clown in South Africa and being Mr. Popular to allowing himself to be bullied.
Right.
So that just took him mentally and put him onto a different step. So
totally understand where he's coming from.
Yeah.
Totally understand where he's coming from. Can totally see it. Not to dwell on that at all. Let's move. So you mentioned that he wanted to be a musician, and so you tried the couple of music schools that were in Phuket. And this was a driving force about that he had nowhere to learn?
Correct. The places we took him to, he went for a couple of lessons, and he came home one day and he said, "That's it, I don't want to play guitar anymore." Clearly, Gary and I nearly fell off our chairs.
Yeah, I was
because
gonna say,
yeah.
hang on a minute.
And also, I must just tell you that prior to that, Gary would never let him go for lessons because he always said, "You're too young. You're too young," and that's the one thing that our family always thought we did was push him into music because Gary's into music. But on the contrary, we try to keep him out of it. Hello, have you seen how much music people make? So we try to keep him out of it, but he was adamant. So finally, when he got here, he said, "Dad, I'm 10. Please, can I go? My hands are big enough now to fit on the fretboard." So we reluctantly took him for lessons, and then after 3 or 4 lessons, he said, "No, sorry," put his guitar down. He never wanted to play again. Like, what? But we were lucky at that stage. A Canadian rock star was coming through, and it was in Gary's studio. And he said to Blaise, "Come sit here. Let me show you a couple of chords." And after the first or second lesson with him, took it, and Blaise just went from there.
Gary doesn't play much.
Not at all.
And are you an instrument person?
He's asked me to mime. I can't even hum.
Can you mime the triangle for me?
No, I'm terrible. I cannot
Can't
do.
even hum.
I can't hum in tune. I can't. When I try and explain a song to him and then I start trying to sing it or hum it, he's totally lost. Blaise might come in and say, "Dad, I think she's trying to say this song or that song." No, I'm tone deaf.
So you'd never do a family album or anything?
No, I did play the drums on a song for Gary's 50th birthday. But that's just because being an analytical brain, you learn the pattern. Blaise was helping me. He played along, so it was easy to follow him.
What song was that?
Happy birthday.
No. Kiss.
Oh, there you go. Had to be a Kiss.
Crazy
It was a
Nights?
Kiss song. I forgot. Moving along.
Just sing it for us.
Obviously, with the COVID stuff going on, that's affecting everybody. How's your school?
Wait, what?
Did you not know? How's it been for? Because obviously, I've been through the home teaching, or the virtual teaching from the school with the kids. How's it been with the music stuff?
Well, when it first hit, we did everything online. We were very fortunate we could do that. So that was great. Starting up on the new academic year, which has now been in August, there has obviously been a huge amount of parents that have left the island. So that has affected us quite dramatically. We are lucky enough to continue with some online lessons because some of the students are still stuck in their respective countries. So we continue with that, but then we have resumed face-to-face lessons. It's not, obviously, it's basically half of what we were doing prior, but it's still going. And we're working, as we were saying, harder just to maintain and to even provide a better service now with more interesting attributes to it, to keep it interesting and to keep it alive, because I think right now everybody is in a bit of a slump, emotionally, mentally. So we're just looking at ways to bring more excitement back into the program.
And I think the interesting thing for me is during slumps and during times where you're feeling down, depressed or whatever, sometimes it's positive to try new things, and to step outside your comfort zone, and that's what I've been trying to do, and I always have done on my journey. It's something that I think that people could, and I'm trying to big up your business now, is saying that if you've never sung before, if you've never played an instrument before, no matter how old you are, now could be the time to try. I'd imagine you're doing some good deals, not trying to, to lower your business, but, you are doing some good deals, and just having a singing lesson or learning to play the drums or learning to play the guitar, keyboards or whatever, triangle, saxophone, trumpet. I'm just trying to think of
learning to hum.
Correct, absolutely, in tune.
But now is a good time to do that. People do have, and I know it's tough for everyone, and they don't want to spend money on whatever, but to go and do something different and it's for your mental health alone. I would say do it and contact.
And even if it's just a one-off.
Absolutely,
because you'll probably find with someone like they'll come in, and like Em started to learn guitar a couple of years ago. She always wanted to do it, and then went out and got her a guitar, got her some books and stuff. And she did it for a little while, but she was really busy with work, so she never really had the time or the energy and what have you. So, but it's just, you pick up the guitar, you have a little play, and all of a sudden you've hit a chord. It's like, oh, fuck, I know a G or whatever it is. And then you learn another one, and all of a sudden you're playing something that remotely sounds like, I know what I'm doing. And these sort of things can happen quite quickly. Or with the piano or something, you can very quickly get to a level that you can play a couple of notes and it sounds cool.
Correct, right.
And then it's just the drive to keep it going. And even if it means singing along with the songs on the radio because you now feel confident you can sing. And now's the time for people to do it. We've got the time, right?
Definitely, right. We have found a larger number of adults wanting to do lessons. Some of them are doing it online because they prefer, it's new, so it's out of their comfort zone. So the online keeps them at home and they're a bit comfortable with that. But a lot of the adults prefer to come face to face because then there's accountability. So from one week to the next week, it's like cheap as, okay, I've got to go practice this course again or this verse again or whatever the case might be. But definitely we have seen how the music and the music lessons do put a spring in their step.
Sure.
Coming from, as you know, a lot of them being depressed and what have you, come in here and they've been able to achieve something. You know, it's like, wow, okay.
And also
life's not failing at the moment.
Music generally just puts a spring in your step, right? It's for most people. I mean,
and also I think the interaction with the teachers that we've got, I mean, Pete and Rainsy are just absolutely brilliant teachers, and that they invest with their, I mean, you've had lessons, Jay, they invest with their student, for want of a better word. And it's not just, okay, so this is how you sing this chorus or this is how you play this chord. It's finding out about you, what makes you tick, what makes you happy, and then focusing on that in a lesson as well.
Yeah,
so,
gotcha.
Yeah.
No, I really enjoyed my time, and for me, it was my journey. It was a journey of just, you know, coming out of whatever I need to come out of, and it was about trying new things, and I was scared shitless coming in to sing in front of someone, a one-on-one. Like I said, I mean, like I said, Blazers jumped in front of hundreds and thousands of people. I can jump in front of a stage and be an idiot. That's fine, but to stand there in front of Pete, who I'd never met before, and start trying to sing. You think this is like it was the scariest. It was not
it's
these,
awkward.
but it was awkward
It
and super scary. This is a guy that's similar. I mean, it's probably a little bit. No, he's probably a lot younger than I am. But you know, it's a very difficult thing standing in front of another man, going, right, I'm going to sing
Absolutely.
now.
Yeah.
It's warm
me
up.
out. You know, it was very, very. But it was a great journey. And you're right. He did. You know, we have now become friends. He now invests in what I do. He now supports the podcast. You know, Renz and Pete even did the intro for us. You know, they did our song for us. So, you know, it's worth doing. So I definitely recommend it if you're feeling a bit down. Go and have some singing lessons or drumming.
Or drumming.
Oh, drumming's excellent.
Your question.
How do you not know the Muppets?
I do.
My gift to you
Which is
today.
your favourite? Which is your favourite Muppet?
Gary.
The green one.
The green one.
My gift to you today. I will send you some YouTube links for some
Okay,
Muppet shows.
darling. Thank you.
I'll
be sure
Have you ever
to
seen
watch
Spitting
it.
Image?
Moving along.
No. To be fair, all right. Do you know the concept of the Muppet Show?
Yes.
Right, because back in the day, the Muppet Show was like the big thing, and like Spitting Image was the big thing, and for the stars of the day, like, you know, Sylvester Stallone, Raquel Welch, you know, they started in the 70s. Muppet Show, it goes back, but the stars at the time, if you weren't on the Muppet Show, you weren't someone. Like Elton John was on the Muppet Show. It was like the stars of the day. Yeah, it was a Muppet Show. It was crazy, but all the big movie actors and musicians of the day would be in a show.
This is wasted on the Russ. I can see
know,
it. But let's put some context, because we're at your house, Debbie's house, and which is also Gary's recording
But it was
studio.
a music show, right?
I know,
it was all song
Russ,
and dance.
Russ
You'd have loved
walked
it.
into this morning. You walked in, and the first thing he said, "Hey Gary, hey Debbie, I've got this great idea. I've rewritten this song from the Muppet. It's really good." And both
And it
of
was
you
just deadpan.
both just looked at you. What are you talking about? What's the Muppets?
I'm like, this is why I fucking hate Mondays. This is why we don't do this on Mondays. Come in with this big bubble. Poof. Fuck your bucket list.
Because Russell's on his Muppet thing. I
Right.
love it so
Oh, no, he's gonna
darling.
ask.
I'll go research the Muppets now. I
Yeah.
promise you I'll research the
So
Muppets for you.
just to round off, other than learning about the history and the depths of the Muppet shows, what else would be on your bucket list?
My bucket list. Well, it basically involves my immediate bucket list is to go on vacation.
Yeah, anywhere.
Imagine that, yeah. In a hotel.
Remember those days when we used to get on planes and stuff? Fuck, man.
But anyway, just in a hotel for 2 weeks and not worry about running a business, that would be a vacation.
I need to get a new passport because mine's nearly empty. Like, what's the rush?
Can't.
Right.
But then my final phase, because I've basically split my life into 3 phases. So the first was all about me and my career and building that up and being the yuppie. The second phase is all about my son.
Don't include the high heels and the stockings.
Still got them, hanging on to them. But my final phase is going to be working with senior citizens.
What, Gary?
Gary.
It's too easy. It's nice to have you back, by the way. Thank you for coming back.
Well, he'll be included.
Yeah.
But no, that is my passion. That is really on my bucket list, is to be involved in somehow working with them. My plan is it's called Services for Seniors.
Are you testing preservatives on them? Because I've seen this movie. What's it, Cocoon? Or is it
Cocoon.
Is that what you're trying to do? We're in this place.
I'm not
and
supposed to tell everybody.
Oh, right, sorry.
Yeah, you're supposed to keep that quiet.
Yeah.
That's will be the ultimate on my bucket list. It's taking care of old people.
In any particular, than like physically looking after them, or in terms of giving them activities and programs.
That's
and
just
stuff?
it. My vision is that somebody, not me, would have a retirement village here in Phuket. I would move in there and help them with their meal plans, their exercises, their music.
Wiping their bums.
You know, I used to volunteer at a retirement village in South Africa. That was what I used to do on the weekends. And to
So
me,
you met Gary.
yeah, he was. And to me, that's just the ultimate of giving back. And working with old people, there's nothing more special in the world.
Okay.
They have so much wisdom, and they've got so many stories that no one takes the time to listen to them, or they're beautiful, beautiful souls. And of course, they're in their last transitioning stage before they move on, and listening to their journey until they actually move on is really, really interesting.
There was a story, I haven't researched it, so it was something on Facebook that popped up a year or so ago, so I take it with a pinch of salt, because I haven't researched it. But I think it was in Holland. There was, near one of the universities, there's a student block, it's a retirement home.
Right.
But the students can live there rent-free.
Yes.
But part of the deal is you have to look after your, I was going to say a mentor, but it's not, just one of the old people. So you're looking after them in some guise and have to work there essentially for some hours. Which at first I thought, well, that's a bit of a quirky idea, but then you think that's actually a really cool thing.
Absolutely.
Because for them, they're surrounded by young people, and everyone knows you want to be surrounded by younger people. That's what keeps you young and sane. So, and from them, it's a massive learning experience as well, because
very much so.
Ultimately, at that age when you're starting uni, you're at a completely different track. But in terms of keeping you a little bit centered, that's
and humbles you.
Yeah,
Really humbles
I mean,
you.
jokes aside, and I'm probably thinking the same thing you are, but jokes aside, it's a very cool thing, and it would be interesting if there was more of that. And also from a Western perspective versus an Asian perspective, there's a very different track. The Asian perspective is very much about giving to the elders and taking care of the family once they need to be taken care of. We're very much of the ilk, well, your time's up, mum, into the home you go, and I'll just carry on with what I'm doing. So there isn't that cycle, which it'd be nice if there was in some way to create that cycle. I like the idea. I'm with you.
Great.
I think that's a lovely place to finish.
And if you want to have therapy dogs, I will be there.
Fantastic.
Excellent.
Okay, I'll bring some dogs along.
Bring the bloody dogs into it. Debbie, thank you so much for being on our podcast.
You're welcome.
We really appreciate it.
You have been, without doubt, the loveliest Crause we've had on this podcast.
It's only because you haven't had Blaze yet.
Well, I wasn't going to go there.
Colourful.
But yeah.
Did you?
I did say yes.
Have you checked your notes?
Was
there anything?
I was
check
going to
your
ask.
notes.
Was there anything on your notes that we haven't discussed?
Wait, let me see.
Probably
if you've
all
done
of
a
it.
thorough job. Here we know from South Africa.
This is the podcast extra where Debbie goes through the notes for them.
Should we just finish off, Deb? I think.
I think
this isn't
so.
very great.
Was there anything you really wanted to get across that we didn't touch on?
Do you want me to tell
Was
you
there
my
any parts of you we didn't
No.
touch?
Shall I tell you my hamster story?
No, I don't
No?
want to hear
Okay.
your hamster story if it's going to be hard.
No, it's not.
We'll save that for the podcast extra.
Okay.
Okay.
No, that's it, right?
Sweet.
Your ultimate goal in life: give more. And
There
the
we go.
only way-
See, it was worth it.
Yeah,
Ultimate goal in
no.
life is to give more.
Yeah.
That's
Debbie
a good way
Crause,
to
thank
end.
you very much.
Thank you, darling.
Thanks,
Russell,
Debbie.
thank you
Thank
very
you, my
much.
Cheers,
sweetheart.
Cheers, bye.
Bye.
That was a podcast.
That was a podcast. I love that. It's nice to be back.
I like Debbie.
I love Debbie.
I have to say it because she's there.
Yeah.
Can I just tell you my hamster story quickly?
Just before you get onto
oh
that.
no!
I'm
now
just,
you're building it up though. If we leave it for a long time,
that's kind of the point. But
Oh,
just
bugger.
from the podcast perspective,
Yeah.
obviously you had no idea about the whole cosmetic surgery /
No, I've known Debbie for... Debbie, how long have we known each other for? 5, 6 years. I don't know. Maybe there was once a touch on cosmetics, but I didn't know anything about the science stuff and the
No
fact she kills
idea.
rabbits. No
idea
I didn't-
whatsoever.
No.
I knew that she's an amazing person, super intelligent,
Kills
lovely, and all of
animals.
that, but I had no
What?
idea about that little nugget.
Yeah.
And then we're at this
It was the
meeting the other
meerkat
night.
that she ripped its head off that time that was really mean.
meeting the other night. We're just talking about how helping people in Phuket, sort of what can we do for our business profiles in these sort of
Oh,
wonderful
you two
times
went to
and
that
all
network thing,
Yeah,
didn't
which
you?
was, which was great. But just sort of out of nowhere, Debbie pops up and goes, "Yeah, so my background is actually sort of cosmetic science." And I'm just like, hold the phone.
So you knew about it before you got here?
Yeah, but like literally just a couple of days ago. So it was
Okay.
on, I didn't know what was on your list, but it was on my list to ask about. I was
Wow.
like, that's brilliant.
No, she's an awesome. I've always loved Debbie, and I have to say this because she said no. She has been, and I've been obviously.
Super fun guest.
She is my favourite guest ever. She's been through the journey with me for many different reasons, through whatever we went through. But even with just the music side of things, the entertainment side of things, the DJing side of things, we've worked together on various different projects. So, yeah, we've got a long relationship, and it's almost like having a very close family.
Yeah.
I consider them family, all the Crouses, except Blaze so much. It's a bit weird, that one. He's lovely. Can I now tell you my hamster story?
Tell me the hamster story.
So it was my daughter's birthday.
Oh, God. I'm nervous already.
Yeah, you should be. A week or so ago. But anyway, we had the party on Saturday at Blue Tree. Other trees are available. Chucking it down rain. It was a horrible day. But anyway, a few days before that, one of Zahara's friend's mum had texted me and said, "Hey, we're thinking of getting Zahara a hamster. Is that okay?" And I'm like, and Zahara had known about this already because her friends had told her. So I was like, oh, I'm going to have
Can't
to
really
say,
say
yeah,
no.
okay, no problem. Get a hamster. And she goes, oh, we'll bring the cage and we'll bring everything. So I was thinking, okay, fine. I was thinking we'll go and collect it at one night or we'll go and pick it up. I didn't expect her to rock up to a party at a swimming pool party with a
With the
frigging
hamster.
hamster in its cage. Just like that. It just gave it to me. Said, there you go. There's the present. And I'm just like that. Right. And it was chucking it down in rain. So, yeah, I got a hamster now. It's called Rosie. It lives in my house.
Right.
That's
it
my
swim?
hamster story. But next time, if you do buy someone a living animal, maybe don't bring it to the party.
Probably terrified.
It wasn't a good story, was it?
I was expecting something different, to be honest.
We didn't kill
The
a
fact that
hamster.
it survived is...
Thanks, Debbie.
I was not expecting that
It
to
was
end
a
well.
happy ending for the hamster. And
It went down the slide and...
Oh, no. Yeah. It turned into Safety Bob. It went swimming at Blue Tree. We never saw it again. Russell, it's lovely. This is number 50, by the way. This
It
is our
is indeed.
50th podcast. So we've got a big one coming up in 2 weeks' time.
We do indeed.
52. I'm not sure who we have on that, but thank you for being back. How was Bangkok?
Awful.
Okay, good. We'll leave
Well,
that one.
no,
then.
being there was great. It was nice to get off the rock and all of that, but the project was awful.
Okay, good. Well, we'll leave that one then. If you want your dog trained or you want your dog to go and spend some time at a beautiful luxury retreat, and if you want your dog to go and play
Hey.
at Russell's new Canine Point Beach Club,
Someone checks their email.
absolutely, I saw it,
Hey.
then check out that because it's really cool, isn't it? Just want to quickly talk about that while I talk to
It's
Debbie?
basically the one secure place on the island you can take your dogs. It's fully fenced, fully secure. They can run around, they can swim, they can play, and you can just let them off and do it and not have to worry about them running off or bothering someone else.
There you go. Bookings are essential. Please make sure you go to caninepointacademy.com.
/beach club, all the details are there.
There you go. So if you just go to Russell's Facebook page, which is Canine Point Academy, I believe.
Yep.
Or check him out on LinkedIn. And I'm just begging. I'm being nice to you, aren't I?
Yeah.
That's enough of you. Like us on Facebook, like us on Instagram, follow us. But best thing to do is go to our website, which is
PhuketPodcast.com.
Russell.
Thanks, buddy.
I'll see you on Friday.
Will do.
Cheers.
Mate.
Bye.
Bye.